All right, big breaking coming from Jammu and Kashmir. There have been two separate encounters today in Jammu and Kashmir's Budgam and Sopore. 5 terrorists have been killed and one Jawan, one para-commando of the Indian Army has also been injured. And there have been 2 separate gunfights in the valley. The Defence Ministry spokesperson has confirmed that a total of 5 terrorists have been killed. There was an encounter that had taken place in North Kashmir's Sagipura village of Sopore in Baramulla, and this is where one para-commando was injured. There was also a gunfight at Futlipura village. Following specific information about the presence of terrorists, the security forces had surrounded this entire area of Budgam this morning. And with this, there is also a big success for our security forces. The number of terrorists who have been gunned down this year has reached 200, Zeenat. Zeenat, this is big news coming from Jammu and Kashmir. A massive encounter. There were 2 encounters that have happened. 5 terrorists who have been killed. And with this, the number of those terrorists killed in the valley reaches 200. This is what your sources are telling you?
Yes, absolutely, Parikshit. Now the number of killing militants in this year goes up to plus 200 because as DGP Vaid has also tweeted about it that more than 200 militants have been killed in the valley in the entire decade. So obviously it is a big success for the security forces and also success to the informers who were able to provide information to the security forces, because of which the terrorists were able to be neutralized by the forces. When we talk about today's encounter at the Futlipura area, this encounter started around 6:30 in the morning after getting the inputs about the presence of the area and the security forces according to lodged cordon, and the contact with the militants was established around 7 o'clock, though it was an operation of around 8 hours plus, in which we are getting from the sources that the 3 JM Jaish-e-Mohammed militants were neutralized, and also one more militant who is a local boy, as our sources are telling us, because so far the identity of these 4 killed militants has not been revealed by the forces here, but we are expecting a press conference soon where the details will be revealed. But at the same time, North Kashmir also witnessed an encounter in Sagipura village of the Sopore, in which one Pakistani militant have been neutralized by the forces. There also the search operations continued. But yes, at the same time, we see a focus of the South Kashmir shifting from South to Central Kashmir. But because we have been seeing, as the militants are facing a continued heat from the security forces, it seems that they have shifted their base from the South Kashmir to the Central Kashmir, where the encounter of the Jaish militants took place, and in which 4 JM militants so far have been neutralized by the forces. Back to you.
All right. This seems to be a big success for our security forces. Also, give us a sense, Zeenat, of the kind of recoveries that have been made from these terrorists. Anything to point out that they could be linked with the Lashkar-e-Toiba? We saw Muhammad Amir, a Lashkar terrorist who was arrested in the valley some days back. He was handed over to the NIA. Any idea about the affiliation of these terrorists and the kind of evidence that has been recovered from them?
See, as far as the initial inputs suggest, they are the Jaish-e-Mohammed militants who have been neutralized in Budgam district of Central Kashmir, where 4 militants were neutralized by the forces, and this was a joint operation of the Army, CRPF as well as the SOG Budgam. We are getting the details that they are from the JEM, and also in North Kashmir, one Pakistan militant have been neutralized. So far, there had not been any official confirmation on the front whether the North Kashmir militant who were neutralized belongs to the LET or the Jaish. But because that encounter in North is still underway. But as far as the Central Kashmir is concerned, initial inputs are suggesting that these militants are from the Jaish-e-Mohammed. Though when we talk about this encounter, there were a lot of support of the people that these militants were getting, because as soon as the anti-militancy operation was launched, people from adjoining areas walked towards the encounter sites.
And also Zeenat, we'll have to leave it there. But thanks for getting us that comprehensive report of the Indian Army, CRPF, the BSF and the police's operations on the ground in J&K. With that, we take a short break. Much more on Republic when we are back. All right, before we go into a break, I believe Kuldeep Khoda, the former DGP of Jammu and Kashmir, is joining us on the phone. Mr. Khoda, thanks very much for speaking to Republic. We're looking at this massive operation that has been going on for the last several months. With this, the number of terrorists killed in the valley has gone up to 200 now. How do you see this as a success for our security forces?
This definitely is a big success. And the number of terrorists killed is one of the parameters about the increasing role of the security forces, increasing intelligence, and the follow-up action by surgical operations in eliminating the terrorists. But another parameter which should be looked into, that's the kill ratio, that is how many boys, how many Jawans we lost in the process. The kill ratio, which is the number of terrorists killed to number of our own security force personnel killed, which includes the police also. That had gone astray from about 4.8 in 2012. It had come down to 1.8, which was disastrous in 2016. And this year, I hope it is much better, but we have to still reach that level of beyond 4, which is anything beyond 3 is considered good. But in 2012, we had reached a level of 4.8.
That's an important point, Mr. Koda. I'll also get in a word from Sushil Pandit, activist, Kashmiri activist, joining us on the phone line. Sushil Pandit, how do you see this? Over 200 terrorists have been killed. Do you see this as a major success for our security forces in cracking down on terror in the valley? Will this go a long way in restoring peace as well? Because this is happening. There is a fight against terror. The Indian government has made its policy clear that there is going to be no let-up as far as terrorists are concerned. At the same time, the interlocutor, the government-appointed interlocutor, will talk to Kashmiris, will try and get a sense on the ground and give a healing touch. Already, cases have been dropped against first-time stone pelters.
Yes. You see, there is a slightly flawed approach if there is a statistical approach to combating terrorism. If there are 200 plus terrorists gunned down, on the face of it, it looks very encouraging that there is a higher score. It also means that there are more number of encounters and higher number of terrorists roaming around engaging our security forces. So it depends on which way you look at it. That's number one. Number two, it's a proven fact that because there have been a higher number of terrorists raised from local population because of funerals, public funerals, heroes' farewell given to fallen terrorists, these higher number of recruits are leading to higher number of kills that are happening. So this is neither here nor there. But larger question is, you see, for example, in United States, after 9/11, there were hardly any terror strikes. Does that mean that United States was safe and therefore they should lower their guard and there are hardly any encounters or terror strikes? No. The fact that we are on the terror radar, irrespective of encounters, number of people killed, number of security forces lost, is something that we should never lose sight of. Statistical approach to combating terrorism has huge flaws, and we must refrain from premature celebrations on this.
So, Mr. Koda, would you agree with Mr. Pandit that there is a larger worry as well? There is indoctrination. There are people who are very sympathetic towards the ISIS. Recently, we saw flags of ISIS also coming up in certain parts of Jammu and Kashmir. But I believe we've completely run out of time. Kuldeep Koda, Sushil Pandit, thanks very much for speaking to us on this big developing story. This is being seen as a milestone by our security forces.